A child whispered, "We are cold." What this cowboy did next left everyone speechless. Snow fell gently, but relentlessly. Not the playful kind of snow that children run through laughing, this was heavy, biting snow. The kind that seeps into your bones, slows your breath, and makes the world feel smaller with every passing minute. The forest stood frozen in silence. Tall pine trees wore thick white coats, their branches sagging under the weight of winter. No birds. No wind. Just the soft crunch of snow settling into itself. At the edge of the narrow trail, a woman sat on the ground, wrapped tightly in a warm gray blanket. Her face was pale, her lips slightly blue, but her arms were firm, locked protectively around herself as if she could shield someone else from the cold just by holding on. Beside her stood a small boy. He couldn't have been more than 6 or 7. His boots were soaked through, his fingers red and trembling. He kept shifting his weight from foot to foot, trying to keep warm, but it wasn't working. Each breath came out in short, shaky clouds. The boy looked up at his mother, then back down the empty trail. That's when they heard it. Hooves. Slow. Steady. Heavy. The woman's heart jumped. In a place like this, in weather like this, another human could mean rescue, or danger. Through the curtain of falling snow, a figure appeared. A man on horseback. He wore a dark leather coat dusted with white, a wide-brimmed hat pulled low, and a thick scarf wrapped around his neck. His posture was calm, balanced, like someone who had spent his entire life outdoors. The horse beneath him moved confidently, as if it knew this path by heart. The man slowed as he approached. His eyes, sharp but tired, moved from the woman to the boy, then to the empty sled tipped over behind them. He took in the scene without speaking. For a moment, no one said a word. Only the snow spoke. Finally, the man leaned slightly forward in the saddle. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. His voice was deep, rough around the edges, but not unkind. The boy didn't answer. He pressed closer to his mother. The woman swallowed, forcing herself to speak. "We were heading north," she said quietly. "To the settlement beyond the ridge. The storm came faster than we expected. The road disappeared." The man glanced at the trees, the sky, the deepening snowdrifts. He knew this land. He knew this storm. This was no place to be stranded. Then the boy looked up. His teeth chattered as he spoke, his voice barely louder than a whisper. "Sir, we are cold." Just 4 words. No crying. No begging. Just truth. The words hung in the air, heavier than the snow. The man didn't respond right away. The woman's chest tightened. She had seen that pause before, seen people calculate risk, comfort, inconvenience. She braced herself for disappointment. But then the cowboy did something unexpected. He swung his leg over the saddle and dismounted. Slowly, deliberately, he pulled off his gloves. Then his scarf. Finally, he shrugged out of his thick leather coat, the very thing protecting him from the brutal cold. "No, please," the woman said quickly. "You'll freeze." The man shook his head. "I'll manage." He knelt in front of the boy and gently placed the heavy coat over his small shoulders. It nearly swallowed him whole. Then he wrapped the scarf around the woman's neck, tucking it in carefully like someone who knew exactly how warmth should be given. The boy stared up at him, eyes wide. "But, won't you be cold?" he asked. The man smiled faintly. "I've been cold before." Without another word, he lifted the boy onto the horse and adjusted him so he sat safely in front of the saddle. "You ride here," he said. "You'll stay warmer." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. The man paused, one hand resting on the horse's neck. "Because someone once didn't," he said softly. They began moving through the forest together, the boy on the horse, the woman walking close, and the cowboy leading them through the snow. After some time, a small wooden cabin appeared between the trees. Smoke curled faintly from its chimney. Inside, a fire crackled. The warmth wrapped around them instantly, like a long-forgotten embrace. The boy sat near the flames, hands stretched out, color slowly returning to his fingers. The woman sank onto a chair, overwhelmed, silent tears slipping down her face. The cowboy poured water into a kettle and set it over the fire. "Do you live here alone?" the woman asked after a moment. He nodded. The boy looked around the cabin. On one shelf sat a small, handmade wooden toy, carefully carved, untouched by time. "Did you make that?" the boy asked. "Yes," the man replied. "For your son?" the woman asked gently. The man's hands froze. "Yes," he said after a long pause. "A long time ago." The fire popped softly. "He got sick one winter," the man continued, eyes fixed on the flames. "We were far from town. I went for help. The storm came faster than I did." No one spoke. The boy slowly stood, walked over, and held out the man's coat. "Thank you," he said. "For saving us." The man knelt and met the boy's eyes. "Listen to me," he said. "If you ever grow up and hear someone say they're cold, really cold, don't just feel sorry for them. Do something." The next morning, the storm eased. The cowboy guided them to the settlement. People stared, whispering. They knew him as a distant, silent man, someone who kept to himself. No one had ever seen him arrive like this. Before leaving, the boy ran back and hugged him tightly. The cowboy stood frozen for a moment, then hugged him back. As he rode away, snow began to fall again. But the forest felt different. Warmer. Final thought, catchy ending. The world isn't changed by grand speeches or loud heroes. Sometimes, it's changed by one quiet man. One warm coat. And a moment of courage in the cold.